welcome viewers. Thanks for coming in. I don't know if you've been following our talks on Lisa, who has gone through a pretty rough stage of bad decision making. This is her third talk. From widow to wife of a narcissist, my story part 3. She met this man who she was familiar with from school but had no contact since then. In her pursuit to try and make this relationship work, she has left the daughter behind, packed everything up to go 900 miles away to be with him. But there was another motive behind that, which was also to be near the parents. And when she got there in this fantasy, the things just didn't go the way that she would have liked.
It. And the man couldn't even take the money I gave him to go pay his debt off himself. He sends me to pay it off. So I drive 2 hours to go to a company that buys your title and gives you money, and then they hold your title at high interest. So I take the cash over there to pay that off. He can't even be bothered to do that. So I do it. I pay it off, and then we had the money to go on a honeymoon and get married. And sadly, I did that.
Well, she's looking back in hindsight now, and you see a lot of these women that do go around rescuing these disabled men. As I said in the last video, I think she's competing more against the mother to win this bloke over. She had no reason to pay for this guy's title or anything, except that she's trying to prove something to him, and the only thing I could think of is that she's better than his mother. Because there was no other advantage to her as a woman to do something as foolish as that. Now, to sit there and say, just on the premise that he's a narcissist, that's what caused me to do it. No, there's a lot more motive behind that than that simple accusation, even though to some extent it's justified, because narcissists are opportunists, women are rescuers, women particularly are competitive when it comes to other women, and particularly the mother. And this guy was in covert emotional incest with his mother. He hadn't left home. He had nothing to show for himself. He was a fiend, basically, to be honest. But obviously, women are attracted to trust. Well, they're attracted to toxicity. She can't say she's not, because she's in it up to her neck and fueling it financially and in all other ways. But I think a lot of her motivation now is to prove to him that he's a better option than his mother.
I cried all the way home on the motorcycle because I knew what I had done.
Yeah, but really, guys, she should have, and viewers and girls, she should have cried all the way to paying off the debt, because it wasn't her debt. So what she's doing is replacing the mother. Because a lot of these mothers will buy the cigarettes and alcohol and drugs and all this sort of stuff for their children, adult children, to keep them there as security, so they don't get lonely and stuff. And so what she's got to do, she's got to buy him out. She's got to prove to him that she can do more than what the mother can. Right? It's got nothing really to do with love or anything. There's a competition going on here now to see who's going to get him. The problem that she's got is she hasn't discerned with any finality that this guy's a fiend. Okay, so she'd be intimate with him and all the rest of it, and running around like a fool. This is why her daughters and that didn't want anything to do with it. Probably why his children didn't want anything to do with it. They already know what he's like. They already know what grandma's like. And this woman's just walked into a situation that was never going to end well. It didn't start well. All based on the premise that she knew him from school. Would you do that? Put it in the comments. Would you do what she's doing?
I was not happy. I was very, broken. I knew my life was it was on a spiral downward, and I couldn't control myself.
Okay, so there's a massive confession, okay? She couldn't control herself. All right? Now, she was sitting in a therapy session or something. You've got two ways you can go with that. Oh, I feel so sorry for you, and I don't know how he's made you do that. Or you can say, well, if you're aware of this, what caused you to continue on? And you have to come down to the fact that she was in a sinful nature. She was being equally as evil as what he was. All right? You've got to get to the root of the problem, or these people will never get better. It's like dealing with a drug addict, only she's dealing with the pursuit of lust relative to a relationship, relative to a competition with his mother, relative to trying to prove to him, which she didn't need to or have to, that she's some kind of savior or rescuer that, is worthy of his full commitment, which he never had and was not going to be able to give. Right. So we're dealing with blindness, complete blindness. Blindness from what? Blindness from sin. Not from his narcissism, no, from her sin, which has caused her to go deeper and deeper at this point, even though she's getting flashes of the fact that what she's doing wrong. She's even being convicted in her heart that this is completely stupid and wrong. But on the other hand, she's trying to prove to this man something that he already knew, and that was that she was all into the relationship. So, it's two evils. It's two unnecessary evils. His, on the one hand, where he's going to be an opportunist, and hers, where she's making the sacrifice on the altar to give her, what can I say, give her validation, give her self-validation that he deserves to love her, when none of it was necessary.
Couldn't stop it. So I ended up
I'm just going to replay that bit.
I was very broken. I knew my life was it was on a spiral downward, and I couldn't control myself, and I couldn't stop it. So I ended up...
So what's that, viewers? Is that his fault or her determination? Or the driving, nagging desires and deceptions that sin caused within us? Okay. I'm sure there's clinical terms for all this. What do they say? Codependency and all that sort of stuff. But if you look at it in its rawest form, it's much deeper than that. It has to be. We're selling our campers. We're leaving our children behind. We're not listening to the wisdom probably of our friends and everything. We're paying off motorbikes and this, that and all the other that don't belong to us. We're putting up with people that are having an affair and this, that and the other. That's a pathology. That's something that needs to be diagnosed within itself. And I would say simply that she's been lost into her own sin and the blindness of that. And that sounds cruel and that sounds nasty, but you can't blame him, because she should have had the brakes on a long time ago, and she's just said herself, I was unable to stop. There was something driving her. Well, I'm telling you, viewers, what that is, and that's our sinful nature.
Up trying to remember all of these things that happened, because there's so many of them. Within several, now I remember this, the minister who married us, we didn't have the wedding. We did not have the marriage license with us. So he performed the ceremony, but he didn't sign the marriage certificate.
Now, I have to present some doubt towards this, because it's a legal document, over here at document 66, I think they call it, that has to be signed and witnessed on the day by the people attending. And this is where I lose a little bit of confidence in this person's narrative, because what sort of a minister was this? They're not allowed to do that without the paperwork to sign.
The marriage certificate was not signed. And I think it was in his truck. Anyways, I got it. And I was supposed to meet up with the pastor for him to sign it so that I could mail it off.
Yeah, but there's something missing there, because you've got to sign it with a witness. You know that yourselves. The witnesses have to sign it as well. So you've got the minister, you've got the people being married, and their witnesses have to sign it. So she's lost me a bit there.
I never did. I couldn't. I absolutely couldn't do it. He was on me. When are you going to get that signed?
Okay, so this is very interesting, because I had a girlfriend that did this to a bloke before I met her, and it put me right off her. She never ever handed in the paperwork, and they were never ever legally married, and the man never knew that. I find that very evil and very deceptive. So let's just stop here for a minute, viewers. She knows, right? She knows. Who's the covert narcissist here? The guy that's asking her to do the right thing, or the woman that's refusing to do the right thing? Because covertly she didn't want to marry him, but she still went through the motions of it. What the hell? I remember in my second marriage, this woman said it was the best day of her life, and she never reflected that one day after it happened. I ended up having to ask her to leave in the end. With her son, who came in and destroyed things as well, you just need to leave. So what? Okay, come on, put it in the comments. Why isn't she handing the paperwork in? On the one hand, she's blind, right? She's selling the camper van and all the rest of it. And then on the other hand, she's conscious. She doesn't want to take his name. So there's a covert double-mindedness going on within her as well. She's just being tossed to and fro on the inside, crying one minute, being deceitful the next. How can all this be directed at the bloke? It can't be. That's all I'm trying to say. It can't be. There's two people not fulfilling things with any integrity here at all. And this is how it's going to end up.
You going to get that signed? When are you going to get that signed? I said, I will, but I never did.
And I'll tell you right now, as soon as she flinched at that, right, she would have been gone. I would have just said, you're gone. I've been in relationships where you've given the person a ring and all the rest of it, and they won't wear it. You're gone. Don't take it if you're not going to wear it. Gone. Now we're talking about something a lot more deeper than this. Marriage. See, the man can't marry his mother, can he? Right? But he'll sit on a perch waiting to see if she's going to go through with it, but she's not. Okay? If a normal healthy man would have said immediately, you're gone. There's women that get married and they won't take the bloke's name. That's not good enough. That's a problem, because there's an element there that's uncommitted. Here, this is way beyond. Okay, so who's in evil now? She's gone up the altar, right? She's led this guy up the altar, and now she's not handing in the paperwork. Now, we'll have all the sympathizers on the internet saying, oh, poor you, and this, that, and the other, but right now, she needs to be kicked to the curb. Because now she's the one. Can you put the shoe on the other foot? If he had to do the paperwork and he's not handing it in, she'd be praying on that. Oh, he just wouldn't. Now look at that. Stop and think for a minute how deceitful that is. Right? The relationship's gone way beyond the sinking of the Titanic. Right? These people are just floating on pieces of stuff, debris. It's so far gone and out of order. It's just, this is, I don't know if this woman's trolling the internet or just trying to get views or what, but it's so far out of order and so immature and so misdiagnosed for her to sit there and think she's a victim. It's just, honestly, it's oh my God. It's just.
I never did. And sadly, within 2 weeks, because I'm a little hard-headed. I mean, I was crazy, head over heels of what I thought, madly in love with him. I was possessed with some kind of craziness, I'm not sure.
She was being driven by her deceitful lust, her sinful nature. She was being driven by her fantasy, right? She was being driven by her narcissism. That's what's driving her, right? A sinful nature, right? You've got serial killers. Well, this woman's in a serial relationship state. She should be out, but she's determined to go forward, even if she, everything burns to the ground. For what? So she can stand there and say this guy's a narcissist and make herself out to be heroic? She just hasn't handed in the paperwork for the marriage. That's on her. That's an evil on her part. She walked him up the aisle and wouldn't marry him. And now she's sitting there and saying, I don't know what made me do it. I can tell you what made you do it. Sin. Just sin, desire, lust. Not faithfulness and loyalty and commitment, because people get blinded by that every day. And they die in cults and jump off cliffs and, No. This is sort of similar to some kind of obsessive disorder. She's just obsessed with this person, even though she don't like him. Somebody diagnosed that. She don't like the guy, but she's obsessed with him. The toxicity, probably. You can see this so clearly.
Loneliness, desperation, I don't know, and I shouldn't have been lonely. I'm a friendly person, but something happened. That's all I can say. I fell for him hard. But I was a stubborn one.
She doesn't sound too stubborn to me, in the sense that the camp is gone, the daughter's shipwrecked, the parents are just absolutely disgusted and humiliated. So obviously she's wavering in and out of strength and weakness, if you want to call it those things. And this is on her. It's not on him, because she's got just as much trouble going on psychologically within herself as probably what he has within himself.
I am pretty much very much an independent person until I got in the relationship with him. And that's where we butted heads, because I am so independent and strong-willed.
Okay, so there you go. We tried to figure this out earlier. What caused him to discard her? Well, she just stopped herself in, didn't she? Her strong-headedness, her combativeness. And I'd say they've had a couple of little twos and throws, and she's gone into this very masculine frame, and he's gone, nah, look, honestly, I'm not doing that. So she's just admitted that it wasn't him that fully caused the issues, it was her as well. And this is why you have to listen and be fair-minded about these things.
He had a hard time controlling me. So within
viewers, I have to argue that. Again. The camp has been sold. She's paid off the motorbike debt, crying. She's married him and didn't want to. Come on, she's left the daughter behind. He didn't have any trouble controlling her. She had a hard time controlling herself.
2 weeks of us getting married, never had the marriage license signed.
So legally they weren't married. That was another part of this fantasy that was not a dream but a nightmare.
He kicks me out.
Yeah, time to be discarded. You haven't handed in the marriage certificate and everything. So I think she got off light. Personally, I would have done it immediately.
He said I was too much trouble.
Well, 100%. I've just walked you up the aisle, right? All the paperwork's buggered up. You're not handing it in. To me, that's not a sign of commitment. I'm out. She's not a victim here. She's a player in it.
I was too much trouble. Well, can you imagine what that did to me? I was broken.
Well, that's a reality check, isn't it? She should have been gone long before this stage. Okay, long before this. And I think this is the second discard. This is the second discard because she got discarded before this as well. So I don't know how many times you can be broken before you wake up to what's going on. This is why I wonder if, she doesn't seem, on the one hand she's stupid and then on the other hand she's smart. This is how lust deceives. They give in to their lusts.
Because I felt like I was discarded like an old shoe. Or even worse, something of no value, maybe, a broken down shoe that had holes in it. That's the way I felt.
Well, that's what's happened. You felt the right way, but how did you translate that into wisdom? Let's see what wisdom comes out of this discard.
I'm like, I've never lied to you. I've never cheated on you.
Yes, she has. She has lied because she's not handing in the paperwork for the marriage. That's a lie. She's married someone she didn't want to marry. Right? I've never cheated on you, but I'm not handing in the marriage papers.
I love you. And yet,
oh, no.
He said I was too broken. I was too broken. I was too hard. And it was going to take too much to work on this marriage. So he threw me out.
Well, that happens every day. And the reason for this is unresolved. She wasn't going to resolve the marriage papers. And he's probably used that as ammunition. I don't know if he was deliberately looking for a way out. But she just said earlier she's a very stubborn and can be a difficult, combative woman. Well, a man can only take so much of that before he goes, hang on a sec, this just is not equally as much as you don't want to live like this, neither do I.
He threw me out because he still hadn't got into my bank account because I wouldn't let him.
I don't believe that, viewers. I don't believe that. I really don't believe that. Because she has let him into the bank account. She just paid off his motorcycle loan. So I don't believe that. There's something not adding up with that, guys.
And he knew that I had some stuff that I was holding back, and he wasn't able to control me. But that threw me for a loop.
Well, that's why she got thrown out. It wasn't a matter that he wanted to control her as much as probably what he wanted, some order. Let's just get some order into these areas, and she wasn't going to have it.
I should have shouted hallelujah, but I didn't. I hurt so bad. I have never, I don't think I've ever known hurt like that. Abandonment. I felt completely abandoned, unlovable. I hurt so bad.
Okay,
my
so
family
hang on
didn't
a
even
sec.
recognize me.
So now she knows how the daughter felt when she left her 900 miles behind for the man. So it's the narcissist with the narcissist. That's what it is. I'm a narcissist. and I married one. That's what she should have said. Really.
But I had friends who came to my rescue. And they joined up and they moved me. And they got me out.
So here comes the flying monkeys. I'm going to sign off at that, guys. Look, put your comments in the comment section. Let's get this conversation going. I'm not having this. She got discarded for all the right reasons. We'll come back in the next one and see what wisdom she brings out of that. I haven't seen any so far. Till then, stay safe, take care. I'll catch you in the next one.